Hello and welcome to
Talk Majors.
where the mother and son duo you didn't know you needed in your life. What are we going to talk about today?
So today we're going to talk about the MLB playoffs.
Yep.
Because, we didn't get a chance to explain it in our last episode, so we're going to explain it in this episode.
Yeah. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to start or do you want me to?
I'll start. So in the first wild card round, we have the Blue Jays and the Twins. Well, the Twins won. They swept them. So it really wasn't much of a fight. The Twins were the 3 seed, and the Blue Jays were the 6 seed. And then in the next wild card series, we have the Rangers and the Rays. And the Rangers swept the Rays. So in the American League wild card series, there really was not much of a fight, which was kind of sad.
Yeah, neither in the National League either. So the Diamondbacks beat the Brewers in 2 games, right? So that was like...
not a fight at all either.
Yeah, so. And then the Marlins and the Phillies...
Phillies won 2-0.
Yeah, the Phillies won in 2 games also, so it wasn't really... a fight. Yeah, and then so the Dodgers and the Braves... I know, they had a break, and did... the
Orioles and the Astros.
And the Astros, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's...
I also saw that having the break did not do any of the teams any justice at all.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, is like there's some controversy around the break.
But even though all time, the team that's had the longest break, I know it didn't happen this year, but the last 60 years, the team that's had the longest break has ended up winning, like not winning the World Series, but making the World Series.
Who?
So every team that's skipped the wild card round and went just into the divisional round has made the World Series 90% of the time. It just happened that this year, with all those teams on having the break, none of them made the World Series.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So in the division series, we have the number 3 Twins versus the number 2 Astros, and the Houston won 3-1. Really wasn't much of a fight at all. I mean, it really wasn't. So and then the Rangers swept the Oriels, which was really surprising because the Oriels looked very promising, especially with their rookie catcher, Adley Rutschman.
Well, and they were the number 1 seed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody expected the Rangers to make it this far. Mm. I think a lot of people had them pegged out to lose to the Rays, and then I almost know for a fact nobody had them beating them.
I was like, no, it's probably going to be the Oriels and the Astros are probably going to win. They're going to make it to the World Series again, like that whole thing.
Well, I was hoping that the Rangers would win, but I was like, the Orioles are going to go right through them. And it was the other way around, so Garcia really showed up during that series, and here we are today.
And Seager, and Seager's batting average during the playoffs was insane.
It really was.
It was like 642 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nuts. And the Dodgers lost out in 3 games, right?
They got swept by the...
Yeah.
They weren't even close.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks. It was like, let me see, 11-2 in the first game.
Yeah.
4-2 in the second game, and 4-2 in the third game. It was like, and then the Kershaw pitched that first game.
Yeah, I know.
And they destroyed them. Destroyed him. There was no mercy.
The Dodgers only scored 6 runs the whole series.
That's insane.
And the Diamondbacks scored 19 runs that whole series.
Yeah, because of FAM and all that, so...
Yeah. And then we have the Braves. Philadelphia won 3-1.
Yeah, and then the Phillies and Braves, and that went to 4 games at least, right?
Yeah.
So the Braves won 1, and then the Phillies won the rest of them. Well, I mean...
Well, it was surprising for me that the Braves lost, because they had the best record all season.
Yeah.
Best record ever.
In baseball. Not ever.
But
this year.
In baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really surprising that they actually lost. I thought Ronald Acuna Jr. would show up, and same with the Ozzie Albies, but they were nowhere to be found. So.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, Bryce Harper just went crazy.
Yeah, I know you're not a big fan of his.
I like Bryce. That's Brian who doesn't like Bryce Harper.
Oh yeah.
I try to tell him that Bryce Harper's like a really really cool guy. And yeah, he's like a Richard Sherman on the antics. He's a really cool guy. And Brian's like, no, he wasn't having any of it.
Yeah. Well, we could get into Richard Sherman too, and how he is a good guy. It was just all antics on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that brings us to the division championship, which it was the Rangers and the Astros.
So the Rangers beat the Astros in 7 games. It was a thriller. I mean, so the Rangers took the first 2 games of the series.
You should talk about.
So they won the first game 2-0, second game 5-4. So I mean, it was close. But they were looking like they were going to sweep. And the Astros came back and just won by 3 runs in game 3. So it really wasn't a lot. They were final score was 8-5. And then they obliterated them in game 5 with 10-3. And then they won in game 6. So game 3, they won 8-5. Game 4, they won 10-3. Game 5, they won 5-4. So the Astros went 3 in a row right there.
Yeah, that's
and everybody
crazy.
was like, oh my gosh, the Astros are going to make it to the World Series. I mean, yeah, it's the 3-2, but they totally just won 3 games on them in a row. And then the Rangers blew them out in Game 6, winning 9-2.
Thank God.
So then when it's the Game 7, and everybody's like, oh, hopefully it's a close game. The Rangers did not make it close. It was 11-4 was the final score.
Yeah, my favorite part about that whole was when Brian asked where they were playing, and you responded in Texas, because both teams are in Texas.
And he's like, no, where? And I was like, in Texas. He's like, where? In Texas. Well, I didn't know if they were in Arizona. And I was like, this isn't the World Series.
Yeah, that was funny. So let's talk about the Diamondbacks and the Phillies.
That went 7 games also.
Yeah, that did go. So it's almost like it was scripted, right? So they blew through, and they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, the championships need to go to 7 games. Like, they have to go to 7 games because this isn't fun for anybody, right? Yeah. So
honestly, I thought the Phillies were going to win that because of their high-powered offense. I was rooting for the Diamondbacks, but especially in that final game, it was kind of close.
Mm-hmm.
And I was expecting the Phillies to just win. Because, well, Brian was going for the Phillies. And I was going for the Diamondbacks. I was like, oh, come on. And Brian's like, oh, yeah, the Phillies are going to win. And
So I like the Diamondbacks because of Paul Sewald, right? He played for the Mariners for a long time. And then, so I like Paul Sewald because he played for the Mariners and he's an amazing closer, right?
Yes.
But I do like Trey Turner. Like, Trey Turner has that wicked slide that, like, nobody can replicate. Like, it's
did you see that story that was going around about Trey Turner? So at the beginning of the season, he was doing really, really bad with the Phillies. Wasn't doing anything with the Phillies at all. Had given up a lot to go over there. The Dodgers were going to pay him a lot more, but he gave that up to move to Philly because that's where his wife's from. Mm-hmm. And this one fan posted a TikTok and was like, we should be standing up and approving Trey Turner because he did a lot for the city. He's been doing a lot, and he gave up a bunch to get here. So we should help him out. And then in the next game that day, he got up to the plate and there was a standing ovation by a few of the Philly fans, and he ended up hitting 2 doubles and a home run.
Yeah, like proving himself, really.
And
yeah.
Other people were like, oh, so we saw these guys do it, we're gonna do it. And then the next game, I think that was the game where he hit 2 home runs in 1 inning.
Right.
And 90% of the crowd stood up for him. And then it kept happening. And he was on a tear throughout the league for about a month and a half. I mean, every home game, they would do a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Every time he came to the plate. And by the end of that, he bought a billboard and said, thank you, Philly.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Okay, so let's talk about it. So the Phillies won game 1, 5-3. The Diamondbacks lost game 2. So now the Phillies 10-0. That's what they.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
10-0. It was like the Diamondbacks forgot where they were.
I kept saying that it was going to be a sweep. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah," especially with that dominant performance, they're going to win.
Yeah, but remember, it's scripted, so.
This isn't the NFL.
The Diamondbacks came back in game 3 and won 2-1.
Yeah.
So now the series is 2-1, right? So then in game 4, the Diamondbacks win again, 6-5.
So it's tied 2-2, right?
Tied 2-2, I'm telling you. And then the Diamondbacks and Phillies in game 5. So the Phillies beat them 6-1. So they basically were like, hold my beer.
So it's hold my beer.
And then
Here I go.
And then in game 6, the Diamondbacks win 5-1.
Really?
So then in game
Wait, let me guess. I think they win game 7.
I think you're right. Who win in game 7? The Diamondbacks or the Phillies? Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, so the Diamondbacks win 4-2, right? But something I've learned about the Diamondbacks and all of this is that they like to come from behind. They love the come from behind win because a lot of the teams, they let score in like the first 4 innings and then they start scoring after that.
Yeah.
I mean, not always, but for a majority of the games, they had the come from behind win. So, But yeah. So, I mean, that leads us into the World Series. So it's the Diamondbacks with
Wait, hold on. And the Rangers.
Yeah. Okay, so the Diamondbacks, right? They have an amazing pitching staff. Rangers have an amazing offense, right?
Yes, and they do have a really good pitching staff with Max Scherzer.
Yeah. Okay.
Had to bring him up again.
I know, but why?
Because why not? Why?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see you. We are going to be covering game 1.
Yes.
Of the World Series.
Well, we're going to cover every game, which we stated that in our last video, so episode.
Yeah. All right. Great. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.